Black Lives Matter! 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 We're good. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. Thank you.
When I was 16, a man asked for his coffee the same color as my skin while I was working as a barista. I expressed discomfort and he ended up waiting outside for me to take the trash out at night. When I was 19, men yelled awful sexual things at me out their car window at the Walmart parking lot. They exclaimed they liked light-skinned girls and proceeded to follow me through the store, harassing me, yelling obscenities, and I was told they went as far as to search for me through the parking lot afterwards. In school, it felt like my skin color was all anybody saw. This was especially true in middle school. Kids would deliver their favorite black joke to me, ask for N-word passes, and made it very clear that I was different from them. I'm Bourgeois, and in my 20 years living in Gilford, I've endured far too many racist encounters. There were so many times that I wanted to speak up, but I feared losing friends, some of which were the ones delivering these jokes. I was upset by their comments, but at the time was scared to tell them how I felt. Years later, kids replaced their jokes with judgments, telling me I make everything about politics when I was just advocating for myself. I wasn't trying to talk politics, I was talking basic human rights, and I felt so alone knowing people couldn't see it the way that I did. But I kept trying. Children have the undeniable right to be treated equally, especially in school. Our schools have a responsibility to educate on diversity and give students an accurate representation of history. Our history books are whitewashed, and this is an issue we can no longer ignore. We need to teach children about more than slavery when it comes to Black history. Let them know people like Bessie Coleman existed. In 1921, she became the first female African-American pilot. With no opportunity for her to get her pilot's license in the U.S., Coleman traveled to France, where she received her license and proved that Black women are strong and capable of anything. And when we learn about cowboys in the Old West, books and movies fail to acknowledge the fact that 1 in 4 cowboys were actually Black. It's believed that the Lone Ranger character was inspired by a Black gentleman by the name of Bass Reeves, a former slave who escaped and made history as a U.S. Marshal out west and was known for having a great rapport with the indigenous tribes of that area. And did you know that the first person to perform heart surgery was a Black man? His name was Daniel Hale Williams. Upset with the poor treatment African Americans faced in hospitals, Williams opened Providence Hospital and in 1893 performed the first heart surgery. Although this was before penicillin, antibiotics, or even x-rays, William's patient lived 20 more years after surgery. It is absolutely necessary to show kids all the amazing historical contributions Black Americans have made to society instead of just reteaching the devastating event which was slavery. This creates a positive conversation and therefore a positive initial perception of African Americans. I sincerely urge you to speak up at school board meetings, write town officials, and show that education on diversity is what our town wants. Every child should feel safe and valued at school, and creating this environment starts here with us, today. We need to continue the conversation and be outspoken. It is the only way that we can achieve the change that we wish to see in our world. With recent events, it is clear that not all of America's police are up to the same caliber as Gilford Police Department. Inadequate training and abuse of power. Inadequate training and abuse of power is what led to the unjust deaths of those who I will list momentarily. Please take a moment of silence with me in between victims as I read their names and a brief look into what they were doing moments prior to death. Elijah McLean was walking home. Ezell Ford was walking in his neighborhood. Michelle Cousseau was changing the lock on her home's door. Tanisha Anderson was having a bad mental health episode and her brother called 911. Tamar Rice was playing in a park. And Walter Scott was going to an auto parts store. Betty Jones answered the door to let Chicago police officers in to help her upstairs neighbor who had called 911 to resolve domestic abuse. Orlando Castile was driving home from dinner with his girlfriend. Father Jean was eating ice cream in his living room. Atiana Jefferson was babysitting her nephew at home. Dominique Clayton was sleeping in her bed. Breonna Taylor was also asleep in her bed. We want to encourage constructive dialogue that is not social media based. Instead of speaking about issues we want to fix in our town over Facebook, let's please take what worked well during the civil rights movement: community-based action. For those who cannot attend meetings physically, we can utilize Zoom and telecommunication. The goal is to create a space for people from all walks of life to feel comfortable discussing the changes they wish to see within this community. While we're waiting for these plans to come into fruition, I would like to encourage you to go about your conversations respectfully and to only put out positivity, as that is what you will receive in return. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you to the young people of this community, whom without your support and drive for change, events like this would never happen. Thank you.
Croc TV.